Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Helifar Turtles 135mm micro, and yes, it is Turtles. It's got an S on the box. Now, despite this being from a company called Helifar, I do believe it's come from the same team as the Fury B X140 just because it's so similar. I mean, it might be a coincidence, but we have got the same 3-inch 4-blade propellers on here, and they seem to be unbranded. They are a 30-30 size, and the motors are the same size. They even look the same style, and they've just got different writing on them. So it says here on the side, it says Sky Stars, and they are the same size, so they are a 1306 3100 kV brushless motor. And then the entire stack is the same as well. So we've got a 20 amp BL Heli S D-Shot 600 capable ESC, which is 4-in-1 of course. And then we've got a Omnibus F3 flight controller, and it's come flash with Betaflight version 3.24, and of course it's got Betaflight on-screen display as well. And then above we've got the same VTX. Now the website says it's a switcher between 25mW and 200mW. However, looking at the manual here, it's 150mW, which is exactly the same as this guy. So the only thing that has changed really is the frame and also the camera, because as far as I can see, this is a genuine run cam, and with this guy it was a copy, one of the Fury B Micro Swift. So it has come with a 2.1mm lens on here, and you can't really adjust the camera any further than that because we have got this bar here for protection, but also the little connectors on the back there are catching if you try and make it any flatter. So, you know, if you are deciding between these two, this one you can make the camera much more flatter. And if you look as well, we've also got an XT60, which is quite unusual for a 3-inch model, and they have actually provided in the box a XT30 if you want to swap it out. Now I do have some 4S batteries that have an XT60, so I won't be swapping out because, yeah, it'd be a completely disassemble to do that. But yeah, we have got an XT30 there, and we've actually got some heat shrink and some cable ties. So this is the bind and fly version. It's come with an XM receiver. Now this was just loose. It's got a little sticky pad on it, and it was loose so that you can access the bind button, but there isn't a lot of room for a receiver. So I've bound it up and I've stuck the receiver down there, and then I've got the antenna coming up here, and this is one of the cable ties they gave me, and also one of the heat shrinks as well. Now, same as the X140, it's using a sleeve dipole antenna, and it isn't on a connector, so it's soldered direct. And we have got a Velcro battery strap, and it came with this installed, and also a silicon mat. My only complaint is, of course, I prefer a battery strap with a feed through because, you know, it's easier to tighten them up, but that's a small thing. It seems like a really nice price, and if it's anywhere near as good as this guy, then I think we are onto a winner. The only thing I will mention though, as you can see, I fitted the Runcam Split Mini in here, and it just about fit. I don't think it's going to fit in this one because it's a lower profile, but you could maybe stick a camera on the top there, I would say. So let's talk about the VTX because it's a little bit tricky. So there's no smart audio with this one, if you are wondering. It is a 40-channel VTX, and it's a little bit clunky on how to control it. So there's a little button there, and you've got two LEDs, one green, one red. And you have to hold the button down for 3 seconds, and then the red LED flashes once, and then that allows you to change the 8 channels of the band. And then hold it down another 3 seconds, the red LED flashes twice, and then you can change your bands, and then hold it down for another 3 seconds, and then you've got the power output, and one flash is 25mW and two flashes is 150mW. Be careful, it was set at 150mW out of the box, and I don't know if it's got any temperature protection. So if you plan on having it sat down for a while, then I would switch it out to 25 milliwatt. As soon as you power up the USB connector, it powers up the receiver as well, which I like because it means that you can bind to it easy. So it weighs 125 grams without a battery, and I'm going to be using this Turnigy graphene battery. It's a 750 milliamp, and it weighs 227 grams with a battery, so under that magic 250 gram limit. That's something that I like about these component choices with the smaller motors, because it means that it is a lighter model in general. So as for Betaflight, it did have a few things set up in there, but not a lot really. It didn't have any mode, so I've got arming on the aux 1, I've got angle and acro on the aux 2, and it does have a beeper and LEDs as well, and that is connected up, so you can have a low voltage warning and a lost model alarm. So I've got that on the aux 3, and the LEDs are configured as well, so you know, if you want to upgrade, you might want to copy the CLI in order to save that. Weirdly, it had motor stop turned on, and it also had the digital idle at around about 4, I think it was stock, and I've lifted that up to 6 so we don't get any flip of death. The on-screen display was all over the place, so I've switched that around to my liking as well, and I've put in the command set small underscore angle equals 180 because you have to do that in the CLI if you aren't on 3.3. I should mention I was given a spare set of propellers as well. You do have to fit the propellers. They give you these nuts here, and I don't think it's going to fit in the box with the propellers on, but that's not a deal breaker, but I do like when I can store them away nice and easy. Okay, so this is actually the Maiden. It's also the first time I've even spooled the motors up, so I just need to check that everything's okay. Seems okay, so I'm just in angle mode here at the moment. Now I have given it the same PIDs as the X140, just because the stock PIDs, I think they would cause oscillations. The D is really high. I think they are just the stock Betaflight PIDs, which are designed for a 5-inch model carrying a GoPro, so it doesn't seem like it's been tuned. Let's check out the punch. Yeah, punch is nice. Pretty much exactly the same as the X140, which is what I thought it would be. This is a different frame though, so it probably is going to require a different tune, but I thought the X140 tune would be a good starting point. Yeah, bags of power for a 3-inch. Let's see what the acro is like. Again, it's going to be pretty difficult to tell if the tune is perfect. Line of sight, it's usually something that shows itself doing FPV with wobbles and bounces and things like that. It can be quite difficult to see that on the line of sight, but it's feeling smooth, I have to say. It is feeling smooth. I love the colour of these props. It's a quiet model, it is. You can barely hear it. And so far it's flying nice. One thing I liked about the X140 is that it's not too heavy on the amps, because it's not using oversized motors. I think this combination is a really good combination when it comes to the component choice. Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, you know, it's nothing mind-blowing, but I would say it's just right. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it feels pretty smooth on the line of sight. I mean, I did always like the tune that I gave the X140, so who knows, maybe it's okay. With it being a bit more squished, I am worried a little bit about the eye. It's not something you can really see on the line of sight, but it looks okay so far. So the next thing to do is some FPV with it. Okay, let's get and do some FPV. Now, the camera is actually the Sparrow, not the Micro Swift, so it's a 16:9 camera. So you'll need 16:9 goggles ideally, and that might make this a deal breaker for you, because if you've only got 4x3 goggles, then maybe that's a reason to go for the X140. Now, this is my tune, so you know, it's not the stock tune, and let's see if it's any good for this copter. So I'm gonna pump the throttle first. It's actually not too bad, but we have a bit of dipping, can you see? So I think the eye gain needs lifting. I will overlay my PIDs so that you can work on them, but yeah, definitely needs the eye gain lifting. Let's check out hesitation maneuvers. Those aren't too bad. Yeah, a little bit of bounce, but not too bad. And then roll. Yeah, it's a little bit loose, but I will give you my PIDs and maybe you can work on them from there. So let's have a look what the voltage sag is like. Not too bad at all. It did drop below 14 volts, but we had been flying for a minute and a half. Yeah, just dropping below there. Loads of hang time. I'm just running at 25 milliwatts here, and the picture is really clear. They are still really good, these cameras. In fact, many would say better than a CCD camera when it comes to the colours. Slight bit of shimmering, but nothing too bad. Let's have a bit of fun with it then, eh? And the battery is getting a little bit low. I'll be wanting to land soon, but yeah, my verdict is pretty decent copter. Watch out for the camera selection though, because it is a 16:9 camera. The Sparrow does look very similar to the Micro Swift. It doesn't have the engraving on the front, so that's how you can tell, but it does say Sparrow on the back, though you can't read the back of this one. Yeah, my battery's getting a bit low, so we're talking a 3-minute to 3.5 minute flight time, and yeah, it's a pretty decent copter. I'll link it in the below and we'll come in for a landing. So as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.